welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
I'm Ari.
I'm Tara.
And I'm Josh. And today we are going to be going over a short story that appeared in The New Yorker in 1980 and was also part of the Best American Short Story Collection from 1981. And it is called The Shawl by Cynthia Ozick. Here is the outlet that I found this story from. It's from the Best American Short Stories of the Century that John Updike edited. Katrina Kennison was the lists her as the co-editor, but I think she was the one that did most. She was editing the series at hand, and can be found in here. You have a discussion starter, Ari?
I do. This is not a story that is supposed to be like good in any respect of the word. Obviously, this is a very sad, very frustrating story, but the basics of it is, and I don't remember. The names of the characters are blanking me. One of them begins with an A, one of them begins with an M, I think.
There's Rosa's the mother.
Rosa's the mother, and then
Stella's the
niece, and then the baby.
Magda is the baby.
Thank you for reminding me, because so Rosa's and Stella and Magda are in line at a concentration camp, and basically Rosa's trying to hide Magda within her shawl, and eventually some, like, obviously typical things that you'd expect to happen in a concentration camp kind of happen afterwards, and the baby ends up dying. And it is a really tough story, and my discussion starter basically is what I'm curious what you guys thought of the strength of this story and what it meant to you guys.
I thought it was tragic because it shows what people become when they're basically put in this position. Because I think the one thing that really stuck out was Stella really a villain? But in actuality...
Yeah, because Stella is like, she wants to eat the baby. That's how hungry she was.
And then she's the one that stole the shawl for herself. But the word that they use to describe her and her actions is ravenous, which means more animalistic in the way of desperation. I think that Stella is at an age where she is... she's not at the maturity level that Rosa is. Rosa has more life experience, whereas someone like Stella, she's 14 years old. She really hasn't... They've said that she hasn't gone through the period of menstruation, and I think part of it was not just the age cycle, but also the fact that the way that they were poorly treated and basically starved. Yeah, it stunts her growth.
I think, like, Stella was... I wouldn't necessarily say she's a villain. I think it's better to say that she is... They are all
The villains are the Nazi officers.
Yes.
And particularly, specifically in this case, the one that threw the baby in the electric fence.
Yeah. They are all desperate. They all want freedom. They all want to live. They all want to survive. And in many of these cases, they're not going to. It's a hopeless situation, and you just have to try and take it not just one day at a time, not just an hour at a time, but a moment at a time. And it's just rough what's written. And when I first read this, it was so powerful to me that I said to Josh, we need to go over this, because of not just about what happened back in the day, but just how it compares to some of the stuff that's going on now as a current event story. And this was written in 1980 by Cynthia Ozick, so it still has haunting comparisons even today. But I'm curious what you were thinking about it, Josh.
Yeah, I think I took down some notes. I think that the whole ordeal when from page 578 in my edition with Stella taking the shawl away. It said, then Stella took the shawl away and made Magda die. Afterwards, Stella said, I was cold. And afterward she was always cold. Always. The cold went into her heart. Rosa saw that Stella's heart was cold. Which I wish it, I wasn't really a huge fan of that time lapse where we already find out, where we just jump to the end conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that they just did it as they kept it going based off of a sequential event. But
Because they mentioned that before the actual death of the baby, right? Like how it was enacted.
I'd have to look that over again. But the I think it's a bit the context that they the way that they're trying to depict Stella. I think it's unfair for her because they're putting her in a position where they described her as having her knees were tumors on sticks and her elbows were chicken bones. They were put in a circumstance where they were so desperate they would do whatever they needed to in order to live. I think Stella had that mentality. Rosa's was a bit more mature and looking out for the baby.
Yeah.
But those are the two paths that you take. It's it's either survival for yourself or survival for your loved ones. And
in this case, I feel based off of what we know happened, it's almost there is no real option here. I mean, yes, they say it's survival, but what? For how long? For a couple minutes, couple days, couple weeks. I mean, back then, there was just no getting out of that. So, I mean, obviously the fight or flight definitely comes into Stella. She's obviously they're all in very sick condition. It's a concentration camp, and you just need to eat or sustain yourself in some way. And I don't think Stella is bad. I want to just point that out. I don't think she's bad at all. I think she is desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And when people get desperate enough, it becomes toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But the situation you're in can define you of who you are.
Yes, that's
and
true.
I feel that it kind of defines Stella as not being grown up. I think the fact that she's only 14, I believe, or 13 or something, like it's well replicated in this short story.
Mm-hmm. I think it was unfortunate for her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation for everybody.
Yes.
And it's ugly. And it's an ugly story. And it's an unfortunate, it's an unfortunate incident in history where people were deliberately starved like that. And it's just
there was a lot
and
more,
what happens from there, when you're starving people, is just ugliness. Like, I mean, there's nothing. You're going to be ripped away from any sense of humanity that you have as you continue to hunger, and as that hunger grows in you. And there's really nothing other than the hope in God that can give you any kind of sustenance in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to talk about your faith being tested. I mean, it would take a saint to triumph in that environment.
But I think like the hardest part of this story is just the imagery of throwing a baby into an electric fence. That is not out of that is something that could have easily happened. That's not fake.
And
that's
it
not
it did, because that was that an incident of that nature is what inspired Cynthia Ozick to write this.
These things all happened. These things all took place in the brutality and all that kind of stuff. These things happened, and some people they tend to, as time goes on, it's easy to forget, but
they used to use the babies as target practice too. They'd throw them up in the air and then shoot them.
But the point is that this was written in 1980, which means it would have been about 10, 20, 30, 40, about 50 years since World War II. So, if the imagery is that strong in 1980, why
35.
can't 35? Thank you. Why can't we make the imagery of I think stuff in the present day can also be made like this, and I rarely see things like this as strong as this in the present day. And I think we need, personally, I think as a powerful story and a powerful message, I think we could use more of these types of stories to get people back on, to make sure we don't forget these kinds of things. So I think this is a very powerful short story, even though it's a negative one, a very negative one.
And especially those people who want to only know the present and not know the history, and that's where these type of stories are dying. It's because the certain people who are in power don't want, like no, I don't want to know anything. I want to know right now. I'm like, yeah, but the issues now come from history. So these stories are really important, and we need more of them.
Well, I hope we get less of them. I don't like these stories. These are ugly stories.
Yeah, but even though they're ugly stories, they're important stories, and we can't forget.
They are important in that they show how bad things can get in a godless heart and a godless mind, and that's from all sides.
Maybe we don't need more of them, but we need like high quality ones, like Mouse, for instance.
Yeah, like that.
Because Mouse is a story of triumph in that environment.
Like
it is. It's a story of.
This is more of a loss, so it's looking at it in a different lens.
It's just a total. It's a total ugly. It's just ugly. It's ugly.
And we need to be shown the ugly, and also need to be shown the triumph.
Well, what I want, but what I'm saying when I say that we need less stories like this, I'm saying that we need more faith. We need people to come to Christ and to find peace in Him, so that when these situations happen, there is hope of redemption.
Yeah.
I think we need any story that wants to be told should be told. And I think that and it's up to the individual to determine whether or not it is a story that's worth reading.
Yes.
I'm just saying that it's ugly, and I want more beauty. You know what I mean? And the way that happens.
I think there are good Holocaust movies that I think show the bad things, but also show the triumphs, like Schindler's List, for instance. I feel like that's like a good combination of both. You see the things that are bad that happen, and you also read it, and then you also have that shining light of a person, Oscar Schindler, who did all these wonderful things.
I would like to see. I would like to watch Shawl.
And there's also a couple others, like Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Did you see the one that came out a few years ago with the kid, the little boy, and the single mother, and they had the Jewish girl living in the house? Jojo Rabbit. Did you see that one?
I have not seen that one.
No.
That's a good one. That's a good one too.
I watched The Pianist, which was
good.
Very good.
But I agree a little bit with Larry, but also a little bit with Tara. Like, I feel like these stories have very high impact and they are very important. But as time goes on, I think what's going to wind up happening is that there won't be as many with a negative ending, because there's a whole thing about, like, I think we want that feel good, we've defeated the enemies kind of mentality stuff. But just to see a story that didn't have that was so alarming to me.
I think that it's important that stories like this are written, because not everybody did survive, but yet they still had a story to tell. And you can't have all your stories just written about the victors and the winners and the ones that succeeded, because that would be
My favorite
a false
TV
image.
show is a science fiction show about rebels that try to take over dictatorship, and they win in the first season, but then they lose, and then they lose, and then they lose until the last episode they all die.
Oh.
And I mean, like, it's my favorite show just because the drama is so. You can see it going down, but it's not a good thing, because obviously the bad guys win in the end, and it's just an inevitable thing. But that's what it is kind of here. It's like you've got a family of three. One of them is still growing up and learning, and is just absolutely, completely devoid of anything, because she's just so desperate and so hungry. And you've got a baby who's just coming to the world, and you got the mother who, and you just got the dynamics between the three of them. It's only a couple of pages long, and yet it's one of the most. You said in your book there, it was one of the most powerful stories of the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yes,
whatever the book said.
It was best American short stories
American
of the
short
century.
stories of the 20th century. I'm curious if you had that book before I suggested the story, or so
I had it before.
So it had already been in there, and you already had the book.
Yes.
Interesting.
Going to your the series, I think you said was a science fiction series.
Yeah, It's called Blake 7.
Blake 7.
British
Okay.
Series.
There could be Congress Candidate 7, where you follow different people each season trying to take Nancy Pelosi out of Congress. People that run for that district, the San Francisco district, and
Yeah, this all
they
takes
fail
place
every
in,
time.
This all takes place in space, though. So
okay.
it's like a Dirty Dozen in space. It's a little different.
This would be a dirty dozen one too, because they lose to someone who's incredibly dirty.
But my final thought on the matter, and I'm not sure what everyone else has, but my final thought on the matter is just that this is a very powerful story. It's a story that I hope that everyone can just pick up for a couple minutes just to read. You don't have to enjoy it. I don't expect you to enjoy it, but it's important and I think prevalent for what's going on now. But as Larry said, it doesn't have a happy ending. It's not about redemption. It's not about anything like that. It is a very ugly story on paper, but it is something that if we don't remember these kinds of things, they are doomed to happen again.
I think we didn't touch upon the shawl itself, and
let's-
how
The Shaw's a
Yeah,
is a
why don't we
character
go
itself.
over that for a little bit?
I think that Magda's consumption of sucking on the shawl, to me, it was like a simulation of nourishment. It made it feel like she was getting that nourishment, and they even say it had that scent and the taste of cinnamon and almond, because they could smell it, and then it also came from Magda's mouth herself. But once the shawl is taken away, she goes walking around trying to look for it, and for her ma, she was only 15 months old, so she really couldn't walk all that well. And at the very end, Rosa ends up wrapping herself within the shawl.
She's screaming into the shawl, and that was imagery that's very hard to process.
And it feels like she's trying to get into that. She's simulating herself with something that really isn't.
Because I don't think it was ever mentioned in the story that the Nazis even knew whose baby that was. They just saw a baby as they threw it in the fence. I mean, there was no.
They didn't care
They
either.
Yeah, they wouldn't have cared either.
Nope.
I'm just saying is that just because you scream there, you're a target. Boom.
Rosa, the very last line, Rosa actually drank the shawl until it dried. So she did start sucking on it as well.
Yes, I think that's a interesting reversal of the role of the shawl, of what the shawl is for. It starts out being for the child, and then it is brought to the mother instead of it being the usual way, where the mother usually is the one that's the nurturing one, and not necessarily in the shawl, but in general stories, the mother's the nurturing one and lays off to the kid, and the kid grows up and learns about things. In this case, you're completely reversed, and it's really just a tough analogy.
Yeah, the mother's kind of reduced to an infantile state in a way.
In a way of desperation, because she's basically having everything stripped of her.
Yeah.
And we don't know what happens to Rosa and Stella after this. It's completely ambiguous, but we can make a guess of what happens.
Allegedly, this was made into a novel, and they go to the United States.
If that happens, then thank everything. That's the kind of ending that I think Larry would be talking about when it came to like some kind of positive ending if they do wind up.
But yet, I think I feel like it does everything it needs to when it comes to highlighting the significance of the shawl. So it stands well as a short story itself. But maybe we learn about how they responded and look back at these events and just events in general. Yeah, I don't know how I would like a full-length novel for a story like this.
I'm not sure I would be able to handle it,
This
honestly.
would probably be similar to Necropolis, which we read a few seasons ago.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, Necropolis was somebody, looking back as he was given a tour at one of the camps.
Yeah.
And this wasn't even. This was somebody from Slovenia, and he was I think he was in Italian. He came from Italian territory, which was Axis. So.
The question is, like, are you going to be able to hold on to your humanity in this kind of a situation?
Probably not.
The answer is no.
Likely
Likely
not.
not.
But some do. Some do. Like the
Some do.
father and mouse did.
Yeah.
He was able to hold on to it.
Or either that or I'll die.
St. Maximilian Kolbe,
I know myself.
he kept his humanity.
There's also other really good Holocaust themed stuff like the Twilight Zone's Death Head Revisited, which is, I think, very powerful.
I'll have to watch that one.
You haven't watched it yet? I'm surprised because you're like a Twilight Zone maniac. You love the show.
I do love the show, but I need to watch more. I need to. I have the complete collection somewhere lying around.
Definitely watch that one.
Ava Moses Core is a prime example of somebody. She was a Mangala twin, and she's taken the route of forgiveness, including that of forgiving the Nazis that inflicted deadly, immoral pain.
That's powerful.
I think different people would have different reactions to that, for sure.
Because she does not want to carry the burden. She doesn't want to. She
did it for herself, not for them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And actually, a friend of mine actually got to see her speak at the Ocean County Library and had her sign my book. And in exchange, I gave her the book that I had of that same book. It was a very powerful book.
In order to be forgiven, you must forgive.
Yeah.
So that's good. And the story of Maximilian Kolbe, that's a good story. He was in Auschwitz. He was a Catholic priest. He was he took the place of somebody because there was an escape attempt and the Nazis were punishing people, so they picked 3 people at random from the prison block. And one of the people said, "I have a family," and Kolbe said, "I don't have a family, take me instead." And they brought him to the starvation chambers, thinking, "Oh good, we have a Catholic priest, he's going to break down and really destroy hope, because these are supposed to be the people that are the most godly." But instead he wouldn't die. It was a miracle. God allowed him to live, and he changed the demeanor in the camp where people were at each other's throats in the starvation area trying to kill each other, and the next thing you know, they're all sitting around praying together. So the Nazis eventually took him out, and then they gave him a lethal injection and killed him. But he's canonized saint for that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, was there anything else anybody wanted to say?
I think I have said everything that is relevant to what I wanted to say. Just a tough one. This is a tough one.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Me being right headspace to read this one.
But I think that in order to be able to go over everything, you got to read tough things too.
That's why I suggested it, because it was so powerful.
Alrighty then. If you are interested in reading this, and in this case, many of other great short stories, Here is the best American short stories of the century, edited by John Updike and Katrina Kennison. Originally published, it was, from what I get from the New Yorker's site, it was May 19th, 1980, but Wikipedia says March 26th, 1980. I would take the word of the New Yorker itself, but
Yeah, Wikipedia is not always reliable.
not necessarily, no.
You got to
But-
click the footnote.
Yes, that is true. There's quite an interesting batch of representatives in here. I don't recognize all of them. Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried. I want to say it was just the first chapter. Was in here. There's writers that we've gone over on here, but not
I hate when they do that.
works that I recognize.
When they put like a first chapter of a book and put it in the
I
short story collection. That's not a short story. That's part of a book.
I'm not into excerpts either.
I
Like,
that. I
They
can't
have
stand
that
it.
in some anthologies.
Mm-mm.
I'll
It
just
should be out of this anthologies. It should be strictly like short stories collection. Because then you're like, well, where's the rest? And then some people can't are like stubborn. I'm like, I don't want to read it. You know what I mean?
already then. Be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.
Keep reading.